This is the content talk to help you think about the resources and materials that are critically important to young children's involvement and active engagement in concrete experiences while exploring everyday topics in their world that leads to extraordinary opportunities for children to learn, think, and grow. One of the most important aspects of project work is that children engage with the real objects found in their everyday environment. And by learning to communicate and collaborate with expert visitors, children develop the dispositions for learning that are important to developing their executive function skills, which researchers believe are highly important for creating successful learners when children move into formal schooling. Expert visitors, it's important to remember that anyone can be an expert that has more knowledge on the topic than you. In the left-hand picture, this comes from a toddler program in Kansas City, Missouri, and there was an alleyway that was the street adjacent to where the children in the toddler room would view the street every day from their windows. And they were constantly running over to the windows as delivery trucks of all sorts of different kinds would come across their way every day. Pretty soon, teachers realized that children's distractions of the trucks was really children's attention on something that was very interesting coming to them in their everyday world. Soon, many expert visitors shared from the sidewalk all about the different trucks, including several parents who were truck drivers who happened to be parents of their school. When children become involved in project approach, teaching and learning processes, we take time to help children locate the valuable resources they need to create, to problem solve, and to represent their ideas. We do this by strategically thinking about materials and anticipating what children might need, but we also do this with children by asking children to plan what they think they're going to need. This really increases children's involvement in higher order thinking skills when they're brainstorming, planning, and producing. These pictures come from a sign project that happened in Kansas City Public Schools, Woodland Elementary, the classroom of Della Judy. In this classroom, there was a long investigation of signs. After children were really enthused on a community walk, they kept noticing how many signs were inside their school building and outside of their school building. Over a long period of time, children worked to investigate the signs. They met with expert visitors from the Missouri Department of Transportation. They met with other experts that were within the building. They even resolved issues such as trash on the floor of the girls' bathroom by creating signs, because the children learned that signs serve purposes to tell important messages to people. On the left-hand side, you can see that the children in this classroom spent a lot of time creating three-dimensional signs and signs of all kinds. This meant that the teachers were requesting families to help bring in recyclable items and different paper, tape, and other types of items used in representation processes. You can also see on the right-hand side that children are using real resources such as real photographs of signs that are found in the real world to help them plan and create their representations. Materials and resources help children engage in researching the topic, interviewing others, and testing out ideas. Teachers can make anchor charts that go with the topic. Children can be involved in helping to write the labels for these. In the picture on the right, you see a student who is using a book that has a diagram in it, and the teacher has taken that diagram and made it into a large anchor chart for the children. In the left-hand side, you can see that there's a simple survey that children are doing in a CARS project where they're learning to interview others and take data, real data, from the interviews that they conduct. Sometimes materials can be found in the simplest of places, our own backyards, in the communities where we have playgrounds with children at our centers. In a car project, the children wanted to have a car wash, and so one day at recess they spontaneously developed a car wash and started practicing on the tricycles that they used to ride on their playground. Materials can also be found in our learning centers, where children may be borrowing materials from the different types of content area centers that are set up in the room. We also may be bringing in materials where children are learning new safety features about. This is a construction project. If you notice, there are real nails and there is a real part of a metal rod that's embedded in what is a cement brick. And so children in this construction project were learning how to carefully handle real tools. Of course, in certain settings when we have to consider different licensing across states, then we have to be conscious of that. But we can support children in investigations with various materials that are real by being strategic and helping them learn how to be careful. And in this one, you can see the excitement as the children are wondering which brick is going to be the heaviest. Again, everyday materials provide rich, concrete information to children. Here you can see toddlers who are working on doing some non-standard measurements using fabric. And they're noticing the length of children compared to the circumference of the wheels that they are studying. Now, let's think about the different aspects of planning your resource and materials guide for your project topic. This assignment connects to Course Outcome 6, where you're analyzing and selecting developmentally appropriate curricular resources and learning materials. You've already been doing a lot of this if you stop and think. We started back early in the semester thinking about the kinds of materials, the physical materials, that you would put into the environment to teach your activities. You've also planned a prop box where you included real artifacts, props, and literacy materials to build background knowledge, vocabulary development, and interest in the topic. So you've got a great head start. There are 3 parts to the Resource and Materials Guide. Part 1 is the field site visit and expert visitor. You are planning where you would go and who your expert would be. Remember that you have to make sure your field site visit is within the area of the school where you are working. So project yourself in your field site placement, or if you're in a school currently teaching as the teacher in the classroom, then you're going to think about the field site area that is closest to your school location. Sometimes I've had students come up with really awesome field sites, but they're in a different state. So in order for this to be as real as possible, we need to think about the area in which we're teaching. For the expert visitor, we'll talk about that in just a minute, but that is anyone. Anyone can be an expert who has more knowledge on the topic than you. The second component will be focused on the literature list, websites, songs, poems, and fingerplays. The last component is the physical environment. For the field site visit and expert visitor, you are going to describe and include information for one field investigation and one expert visitor. You want to select the field site visit and expert who will enhance the teaching of your integrated curriculum project. Include the resource contact information. So if you know that it is going to be a restaurant or a store or a different type of business, then you can find that information easily on a website. Describe the location, the hours of operation. Is there a cost, such as an entry fee, the transportation method, and then any other budgetary considerations. For example, you might want to reach out to your cooperating teachers and ask them how much it costs for a bus to be reserved for a field trip. Provide the rationale as to why this particular field site. So describe, how is this field investigation connected to the topic and learning standards and what you anticipate children are going to learn. You answer those questions for both the field site visit and the expert visitor. Do that to your best ability. Now let's talk about the literature list, websites, songs, poems, and finger plays. This is where you're really thinking about how to integrate all of the different types of pre-reading and pre-literacy activities that are vital to helping young children learn alphabetic principle, phonemic and phonological awareness, word and syllable knowledge, and enhance their abilities to develop concepts of print. Develop a literature list of at least 10 titles. For one of these, so for one book, you will write a brief review of the children's text and describe how you would use it for teaching the topic. In your short description, include what the key concepts of the book are and the vocabulary would be introduced to the children. Select 2 websites. Write a review for how each of the websites will enhance the child's, family's, or teacher's investigation of the topic. So you just need to designate what the purpose of the websites are and how they are beneficial to either the child, the family, or the teacher in learning about the topic. Then you will create or locate appropriate songs, at least 3. These can be simply listed or written out. And then include 1 poem and 1 finger play. Usually when I introduce this into a face-to-face class, we do some work with literature, songs, poems, and finger plays. Normally I get the question, what is a finger play? Here is a simple video to remind you.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to click the plus subscribe button. Put your fingers together and let's pretend you have an itsy bitsy spider. Where is he going? The itsy bitsy spider went up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain. And the itsy bitsy spider went up the spout again. Okay, now you know it.
Lastly, it will be important for you to think about the materials for creating a physical environment conducive to promoting optimal project work. You'll create a materials list for integrating the topic throughout content area learning centers. List materials as props, recyclables, purchased items, collected artifacts, donated, etc. It's up to you how you organize your list. For more information on the physical environment and considerations, see Dr. Sylvia Chard's website. Here's some questions that you may have about this assignment. This assignment can be formatted in a Word document, but you can also create the materials and resource guide as a PowerPoint or any other format that you like. Just be sure to include the 3 components: expert and field site visits, literature lists, song, poem, finger play, and website reviews. And lastly, the physical environment. Be sure to refer to the resource and materials scoring guide for the detailed information shared in this PowerPoint. You do include the list of books. Make sure you do that in an APA format by writing the author's names, the date, the title, and the publishing information of the book. You review one of those. That means be brief. Write a short 4-sentence to 5-sentence paragraph describing the book content and how it's going to help you teach the subject or the topic. Sometimes students may add pictures of the book cover in their list. Most of the literature that you want for teaching the topic is nonfiction. It's okay to have some of the text be other genres of stories that you may read with children outside of project time. If you have any other questions, please be sure to contact me. I'm here to help. Have a great time putting together your resource and materials guide.